ABC 10 Morning News at 5 starts now.
And good morning. Welcome to ABC 10 Morning News on this Monday. I'm Walt Gray.
And I'm Conchetta Callahan.
Sherri Papini is set to be sentenced today. This is at the federal courthouse in Sacramento. She pled guilty to faking her own abduction, a now infamous case that cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. Her defense team is arguing for almost no jail time. Our Monica Coleman's going to break down the series of events that led up to this day in court. She'll be here in 2 minutes.
This morning, the NTSB and FAA are investigating a deadly crash at the Reno Air Races. It happened during the third lap of the Jet Gold race yesterday, killing the pilot on impact. The rest of the event was suspended following the crash. This isn't the first time the air show has turned deadly. 11 years ago at the Reno Air Races, a crash killed 11 people. A pilot of a World War II era plane crashed into the box seats in front of a grandstand. The pilot did not survive.
The arrival of cooler temperatures, more humidity, and rain certainly helping quell the mosquito fire. This morning, evacuation orders for Cannon Creek area are now down to a warning. The fire has burned more than 76,000 acres. Containment now up to 38%. 91 buildings have been damaged or destroyed. 9,200 more remain threatened.
This morning, newfound protections against being fired for recreational cannabis use. Governor Gavin Newsom signed Assembly Bill 2188 into law this weekend. The bill protects Californians from punishment at work based on urine and other tests that only detect inactive traces of cannabis, which can remain in someone's system for up to 28 days after a single use. The new law calls for more precise testing.
All right, let's go to Great Britain. World leaders and royalty from across the globe bidding that final farewell to Queen Elizabeth. Here's a look at her funeral, which is at Westminster Abbey. Yesterday, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden paid their respects. Later, the Queen will be transferred to St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. She will be buried next to her late husband, Philip, as the final resting place.
And a look now at severe weather here and around the globe. This is new video out of Puerto Rico showing just some of the impact of Hurricane Fiona. The eye of the storm targeted the Dominican Republic overnight. 85-mile-per-hour winds knocked out the power grid and unleashed floods and landslides. The governor says the damage is catastrophic. No deaths have been reported so far, but authorities say it is too early to estimate the damage from the storm. Flooding is already at historic levels, and the storm is expected to dump some 30 inches before it has moved on. And we are also tracking rain and wind right here in Northern California.
It's been a busy morning. In this case, it's a welcome change for many, and it is much needed.
It's refreshing. It's been so hot lately.
It's honestly like the best fall thing we could have. Honestly, I'm happy about it.
Feels like we're in the bay. Feels like we're dealing with the ocean weather. You know, hot one day, cold and rainy the next. Like, this is interesting for the valley, right?
Right. The cooler temperatures come just a week after a record heat wave. The increased winds and rain causing issues. Yesterday, fire crews in Sacramento called out to a transformer fire, which knocked out power for nearly 10,000 people for part of the day. All that said, that sets the table. Let's go over to Rob for what's today going to look like.
You know, this is a little bit of a tricky day because what we've got is on and off showers, and we'll talk about the nature of the rain. It's not an all-day rain whatsoever, but I want to talk about the biggest benefit of all for this. When I've been showing you the smoke map, it's been loaded up with a bunch of red and purple, nasty, hazardous air. Look at this. Tahoe, Truckee, there's just one spot of smoky air near Forest Hill, but everybody else has totally cleared out. We are in much better shape, regardless of if it rains in your neighborhood or not. Smoke-wise, we're in much, much better shape. Now, I do think later on today, with a little bit of clearing, we'll see some smoke and haze, but for the most part, that's not really the weather story today. Today, the weather story is this. We're going to have on and off showers the rest of the day with sunshine as well, also the possibility of thunderstorms. Now tomorrow it's going to be very scattered, but still a little bit of rain possible, and early tomorrow morning we could still see some rain. Now this is very much on and off, meaning that at many points of the day it will not be raining. So how do you prepare for something like this? You grab an umbrella, make sure the kids have boots, pants, and a rain jacket. That way when it does rain, they're prepared, and they're also going to be comfortable for the moments that it's not. Much more on the nature of the rain and what we could be looking at the rest of this week coming up later on. Jordan?
Hey there, happy Monday, and thank you, Rob. Looking at traffic, what you need to know going into today. So let's talk about some of the closures that are planned for this week. So this is going to be from today to Friday. This is going to be for our friends in Lodi, and this is going to be on northbound and southbound 99 at State Route 12 Victor Road there. There's going to be full closures there from 11 p.m. all the way until 5 a.m. So keep that in mind if you do live in Lodi. And talking about those road closures with the mosquito fire, this is a closure that is now done. So it's State Route 193 now open. This is from Windwalker Trail to Pilgrim Court. But keep in mind, local authorities are in charge of some of those local closures there. So the El Dorado Sheriff's offices and Placer Sheriff's offices, those are going to be in charge of some of the more local road closures. So make sure to stay updated with those. Conchetta.
Jordan, thank you. The rain may also have played a part in a jackknife semi along westbound I-80. The roads are clear this morning, but yesterday, hazmat was called out near Blue Canyon and Whitmore. Caltrans is warning everyone to take it slow during wet weather.
All right, also happening today, Sherri Papini, the Redding mother who faked her own kidnapping, is set to appear in a federal court in Sacramento sometime this morning.
This case is 6 years in the making. ABC 10's Monica Coleman joins us live in the studio this morning with how we got here.
Good morning. The charges against Sherri Papini were first investigated in 2016 when detectives say her story just did not add up. Now her legal team is asking for grace.
Sherri Papini was reported missing by her husband Keith on November 2nd, 2016. Thanksgiving morning that year, Papini was found and reunited with her husband.
In her poor face, I got nauseated just looking at her. The bruises were just intense. The bumps from, being hit and kicked and whatever else.
In August 2020, Papini is interviewed by a federal agent and a Shasta County Sheriff's detective, blaming 2 Hispanic women for allegedly kidnapping her. However, according to a criminal complaint against Papini, this was false. Papini was staying with an ex-boyfriend and inflicted harm on herself to back up her false statements.
Our local Latino community sort of reacted quietly, and they sort of created their own mechanism for coping with it, but also staying safe.
On March 3rd, 2022, Papini was arrested on charges of lying to federal agents about being kidnapped and defrauding the state's Victim Compensation Board of $30,000.
What angered me most about this is the outcome, is that there is tremendous amount of resources wasted.
Back in April, Papini pleading guilty to lying to federal agents and mail fraud, avoiding a jury trial.
Life is very complicated, and all we can do at the end of the day is the right thing, and it is never too late to do the right thing.
Papini's attorney releasing a memo requesting the 39-year-old only spend 1 month behind bars and the rest under house arrest, calling Papini unschooled and unskilled in honest communication and lost her way early on.
Federal prosecutors are asking for an 8-month prison sentence, saying her hoax was deliberate, well-planned, and sophisticated.
Yeah, you talk about something like this, how she put a lot of time into this whole thing and then successfully lied about it coming out of it. It had so many people fooled just because of the nature of her injuries. It's like, how could you do this to yourself? It must really have happened that way.
She branded herself.
Yeah.
She lied to authorities, making up this elaborate scheme that these 2 Hispanic women assaulted her, which also really hurt the Hispanic community here locally, because that was the time when the former President Donald Trump was having a lot of negative rhetoric about the Latino community at that time. So she really played a large part in this lie, and now we're going to see it play out in real time.
Yeah.
Well, it's also hard to believe she's a mother leaving her children behind.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see the harshness of the penalty based on how angry people were about how this whole played out. Monica Coleman, thank you.
Here is what you need to know this morning. A 17-year-old has been arrested in connection with an accident that injured 6 people and killed a pregnant woman's unborn child in Rio Linda. Police say the driver with 3 passengers ran a red light and slammed into the victim's car.
A hit-and-run suspect who was shot by a California Highway Patrol officer in Auburn has died. Officers say the suspect pulled a knife and charged toward officers Saturday. That's when he was shot. Placer County DA now investigating the incident.
Middle-class tax Tax refund payments are headed to thousands of Californians in less than 2 weeks, all to help with the growing cost of inflation. Some families will get up to $1,050. Here is the basic criteria. You must have filed your 2020 taxes by October 15th of 2021. You are required to be a California resident for more than half of 2020 tax year. You cannot be claimed as a dependent, and you must live in California right now. For more details on how much you could qualify for, head to our website, abc10.com. And now to Britain's final farewell to Queen Elizabeth II. An historic day in London for the funeral of the Queen.
500 world leaders are there, was most likely is the most watched live television event in history. Up to 4 billion people are expected to get up early to watch. Today's funeral closes out the nation's 12-day farewell to their longest reigning monarch. Yesterday, President Biden paid his respects at Westminster Hall while the Queen lay in state. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden at his side.
As I've told the King, she's going to be with him every step of the way, every minute, every moment. And that's a reassuring notion. So to all the people of England, all the people of the United Kingdom, our hearts go out to you.
In the meantime, extra military personnel, extra sniffer dogs and police have lined the streets of London. The goal is to quell all threats ranging from pickpockets to terrorist attacks. It's estimated an extra 1 million people are in London. Some of them have been camping out for days. But there are other ways local Anglophiles can honor the Queen's passing. ABC 10's Marcus Allen live at one of the great British pubs in the Sacramento region, the Fox and Goose. Mark.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you've been here, established in 1975. It is the most traditional of English pubs that you're going to find in Sacramento. Bill Dalton moved here from Yorkshire and recreated pretty much his hometown pub at the base of the bridge at Yorkshire. People are going to be dropping by all day long to pay their respect as they'll have coverage on their various monitors inside. In the meantime, across town, a much different type of celebration, a collector, a tea room, a lady that is bringing all things Brit to Sacramento. Take a look.
A mere 5,277 miles from Buckingham Palace, you'll find A Touch of Britain here in North Highlands, a store owned and operated by British citizen Lillian Monceau. If it's edible and British, you'll likely find it here, and yes, the shelves have been raided as of late with the passing of the Queen. Lillian's daughter Tamara says many locals are saddened.
Everybody's very sad. We have one customer, her mom was English, and she goes, I can't stop crying. I don't know why. I'm so emotional about this.
Lillian?
Yes?
Cheers.
Thank you.
What's so great? What's the best thing about being British?
We have the royal family. This is, you know, to look back on, and I think it's great that we have something different.
When you were a little girl, the Queen, maybe as a princess, was a role model. What are the qualities that we should admire?
Well, she was very kind, very polite, and she loved her people. She actually loved them. When she went visiting, you know, you could tell that she really loved the people of England. She was so kind and so honest too. You know, that something we looked up to because she was the Queen.
Following question might determine whether or not we continue to be friends. On the count of 3, I want you to just shout out your favorite James Bond. 1, 2, 3.
Sean Connery.
Cheers. And we had many discussions about James Bond. Her daughter tipped me off that she was a huge James Bond fan, so I knew that I was going to be safe to go there. In the meantime, if you want to celebrate with some fish and chips over there today or here at this, the most traditional of all English pubs you're going to find in Sacramento. Things I can tell you about the Fox and Goose. You know David Garibaldi, world famous painter. His very first performance was in the Fox and Goose. Multi-Grammy winner Jackie Green was discovered in there, and recording artist Andy Allo, signed by Prince back in the day. Discovered right there at Fox and Goose. Check it out if you haven't. Back to you.
And let's not underplay their breakfast. Fox and Goose has the British English cheddar and the banger sausages. So, hey, you know what I'm saying?
And they've got good jelly and
scones
jam.
baked fresh.
There you go. With the jam to go with it.
You picked the right place. All right, Mark S. Allen, we thank you. So Mark's outside right now, Mr. Karl Mark. any chance he's going to get dumped on?
You know, at some point today, if he stayed in that spot all day long, yes, for sure, he would get some rain. And let me just explain this, because this is kind of a confusing weather story to tell, because if you're looking at your app, you're going to see rain. You might even see 80% or 100%. And what that really is telling you is that at some point during the day, you're going to get some amount of rain, but it's going to be very on and off. And you can see what this looks like from earlier this morning, these bands of rain. For example, earlier this morning, we were looking at solid rain south to north, lining up right along the foothills, just nailing that spot. Then a huge gap where you're not getting anything at all. Then you're looking at another band of rain and then nothing. And that's the way that this is going to go, because this cutoff low is going to be hanging out for a couple days. We're going to have periods of rain and periods where it's not raining at all. So planning-wise, you plan for the rain knowing that it's not going to be like that all day long. If you've got your app handy with radar, you can really time things out almost to the minute, where you can dodge some of these showers and really just navigate your day at a much easier pace. With that said, one thing that's guaranteed for basically everybody is that the smoke situation is totally better, with basically clean air all the way to basically where the fire is at the moment. So again, this is roughly what your app will show, but just know that there's many moments where it will not be raining for hours and hours, and then all of a sudden it rains hard and heavy for maybe an hour or so, and then it clears on up. Temperature-wise, we're going to be in the 70s today, which is going to be below average. And then taking a look at where we're going to be going for the next couple days, this really tells the story of on and off showers. Now, this will amount grand total to what we were looking at before, ½ an inch to an inch of rain. It's just going to take an unusual path to get there. So look for these showers on and off, with some thunderstorms possible in the afternoon, even lightning and hail all possible today and tomorrow. If you're looking for clear weather, we're going to get there by Wednesday. Beautiful but warmer weekend ahead. Back to you.
Rob, thank you for that rain update there.
All right, good stuff. All right, keep watching the ABC 10 News with today's top stories and your full forecast. Our next news comes your way at 11 o'clock.
We'll leave you with a live look here of the funeral procession of Queen Elizabeth II.